You're listening to One on One. I am your host, Jimmy Olsen, and I have the greatest opportunity today to chat with, someone that I've been listening to for years. In fact, there's a story that I'll get into that as I have the conversation. But we're talking, Resurrection Band. We're talking the Jesus People USA. We're talking his own record label with Gurr Records. And, that doesn't even tip the iceberg. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Kaiser. Glenn, how are you, sir?
Jimmy, I am busy as can be, but very, very happy. Wendy and I, my wife and I, just celebrated 48 years of incredible marriage yesterday. So doing good, doing real good.
Well, congratulations. And I'm sure you're kind of getting a little busy too, because I noticed you're trying to put together a webcast. So you're going to be doing a little performing online for people.
Well, what's happening is I've done so many things on so many levels and been involved in over all of these years, in various forms of concerts, speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of chaplains work, in prisons and jails. And one of the main things I'm doing right now actually is a series of 20 to 30 minute. I don't know how to explain them. They're by no means a completely typical, a quote unquote religious service for people in prisons, which I do all the time. But what I also do all the time are concerts.
Right.
At Cook County Jail and prisons all over this country, all over Illinois and up in Alaska and beyond, overseas when we tour. And so what I'm doing is I'm trying to finish up 4 20 to 30 minute segments that the chaplains throughout a whole bunch of facilities have assured me, you send us a DVD of these puppies and we will play them on our closed circuit TV for people in lockup. And so that's a lot of what I've been working on. And then there's a new album about to be dropped. So little by little,
Well, I'm sure you've had I'm sure being busy, but then you've probably had a little bit of time to do some writing and recording over the past couple months, possibly.
Well, I have. One of the things that I hadn't really done much with over the years is I have a YouTube channel, a personal YouTube channel. And I don't know how many of your listeners, or if you Jimmy, have ever seen the movie The Usual Suspects. It's kind of a crazy movie, but the bad guy, I won't. If I say too much, I'll give it away. The bad guy in the movie is really horrible, and his name is Kaiser Sose. Kaiser Sose. Well, my name's Kaiser, right? So
right.
It's a joke. If you look for Kaiser Sose, you'll find The Usual Suspects, the movie, but you could also find me. You might even be able to find me up in YouTube if you look for Glenn Kaiser. You'll see a whole load of clips that I've done on my phone. Sometimes I don't even bother to shave. I don't bother to get the lighting correct. I don't use a backdrop. And I build guitars out of junk. One string up to 2 or 3 string guitars, mostly slide. And I write all sorts of songs about all sorts of things on all these crazy instruments and pop that up there because I'm involved in a large network of cigar box guitar aficionados. And then I put together, 6, 7, I can't even remember, 7, 8 different clips for musicians that are very brief, but deal with a specific element of being a musician, particularly if you're a guitarist or you're interested in recording, albums, records, or production, So I'm doing all that kind of stuff as well up in my YouTube, my personal YouTube channel. So there's so much going on, Jimmy.
Well, it's funny that you even bring it up about talking about, mentoring and helping those that might be looking to do something, because you and I actually kind of go back we'll just say a few moons ago is how I will describe that. And what it was is I was actually visiting Greenville College in Greenville, Illinois, because I was looking to go there to attend for the CCM degree, the Contemporary Christian Music degree that they had. The weekend I happened to go was also the weekend of Agape Festival. Not that we maybe planned that or anything for me to do my college visit, but on Friday afternoon, as they were getting ready to kick off Agape, you actually were doing a seminar for the students that I was able to attend. And it was fun. It was great. It was very phenomenal, and lots of stories to share. And I mean, we all do when you get in the music business or whatever it is. I mean, I ended up not doing that part, but I ended up getting into radio instead for 30 years. But I mean, just a lot of things that you've met that you're able to share, and you had great things to share with them to really grow.
Well, thank you. Yeah, my concern, I mean, obviously, when Wendy and I, when my wife and I individually came to genuine saving faith in Jesus, she came out of a pretty crazy family situation but she grew up in the church. She had always been involved in the church, and her dad was a preacher for many years, and her grandpa was a preacher, and so she came from that side of things. I came up having almost nothing to do with church, very little, but both of us always loved music. Now I was a musician from the time I turned 12 years old. My first band I was 13. First song I wrote I was 13, and it went on from there. And I was just surrounded by music and musicians, and that was so much my identity in my life. Wendy, who ended up singing lead for years next to me in Resurrection Band and Res Band, had never been involved in a band in her life, and but she liked to sing. And of course, when she's got two styles, she blasts rocking, or if you sit next to her in a service, a church service or something, she literally sings this beautiful, like a church lady. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. It's this or that. And of course, I was pretty versatile. But the punchline is growing up doing blues and R&B and morphing into rock, mainly because of Hendrix, and then coming back around to blues over the years. The issue is that you're still a person, no matter where you're from. You're a human being, and you run into crazy people and good people. You have experiences in and outside the church that are wonderful or horrific. And so the issue of a relationship to Jesus and a relationship to the local church, but also having absolute willingness to have integrity and pay the price for those ongoing relationships, it's massive. So yeah, I don't remember all the details. I mean, I remember the event you're talking about. I've done many of those, and
like I said, it was a few moons ago. So
yeah, no, in terms of detail, I very well might have gotten into some of the negative and darker sides of the quote unquote Christian music scene. And of course, typically I'll talk equally about the dark sides of the not Christian, just mainstream music industry, and just all the dollars and cents and the immorality involved. I mean, it's just the real world is something that a lot of young and even some of the older aspiring musicians are trying to get out of, are trying to get away from. And in my view, what Jesus calls us to do is to love our neighbor as well as our enemy. And I think it was G.K. Chesterton said maybe the reason he said that, Jesus said that, is because sometimes our neighbor and our enemy are the same person.
Absolutely. I mean, you just never know who you're going to either be working with or living next to or whatever, wherever that may be. But I know a lot of things that have kind of launched for you over the years, and kind of one I want to touch on a little bit is the Jesus People USA. I know you had bought like an apartment complex and started kind of moving people in. Walk me through that a little bit. I mean, and this I know was years ago.
Yeah, well, I'm one of the pastors here, but you would, in a typical church, you'd call me pastor emeritus. After bugging them, I didn't bug them all the time. I just every so often over about 4 years, I really had a sense the Lord wanted me to move away from the pastoral team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still pastoring, but there are seven others, two closer to my age, and the others younger, and they're doing a brilliant job. What we have a 10-story apartment building that was a hotel, and a very famous one in the north side of Chicago in an area called Uptown. And the top three floors, we have 90 to 100, it varies some, senior citizens, poor senior citizens that we help take care of and have built relationships with and that interact. That's one thing we do. 3 blocks away, we have close to 400 beds in two huge buildings that we're one of the largest homeless shelters in the city of Chicago. And we live in the inner city in a very racially, ethnically mixed neighborhood, which I love. We started a fair trade coffee shop and bakery called Everybody's Coffee. We have a theater. We do films. We do dances. We do huge indoor yard sales. Several of us, different ones, are within the community, are attending various churches right in the area, all different sorts of churches.
Mm-hmm.
We helped a church plant start from the denomination that Jesus People's part of, called the Evangelical Covenant Church. The church plant is called Uptown Church, and Pastor Jeremy and his wife Kara are brilliant. They do a great job, and so right across the street in our Everybody's Coffee building, where a lot of these things are going on in terms of mission and bridge building and outreach, that's where Gurr Records is. We have two professional studios, all under the umbrella of Tone Zone Recording, Res Band, and I've done all my stuff pretty much through the years in Tone Zone. The new album I'm about to drop is just done there, and there's one right after that I finished all my parts on that need a little more work, and then that'll probably be coming out sometime next year as well. So, we there's so many levels and facets to what Jesus People USA is and does. We probably have about 100 and I'm going to suggest around 150 adults and maybe 80 kids. I don't know, 100 kids that live together 24/7. We are self-supporting by mainly by Lakefront Roofing Supply, which is a huge business that we started years ago to help support all of the ministries, because so many of the people that we share with or do concerts for or minister to, they really don't have money. And then what happened is after 4 years of trying to graciously bug them, the leadership team said, okay, go for it. And I said, really? And they said, yes, we're good. We're good. And I said, okay. And then one of them said, what are we going to do? Are you still going to be pastor around here? And I'm like, well, the gifts and callings are without repentance. Call me. I'm on second floor. You got my number. You see me every day. I live here, Meanwhile, I'm telling you, within the next 10 days, my phone rang off the hook and emails came in and text messages asking me to come do concerts. The prison and jail concerts went right through the roof. Listen, nobody knew outside of the immediate leadership team and myself that I was making a change from a classical ongoing pastoral, service to doing all of this ministry and mission.
Right.
And both, so God made it clear. So anyway, that gives you a little background of the community and what we do and what I do.
Well, and then kind of out of that with what you did with Jesus People USA when you started that, then even rolling in to when you were starting Gurr Records, that was something to kind of like help those wanting to like get on a label. Kind of walk me into that a little bit of the birth and formation of your record label.
Well, let me keep it simple. We had great relationships with several record labels.
Mm-hmm.
We shopped the first Resurrection Band project, awaiting a reply, to every Christian label that we could find and a number of mainstream labels. We got one really nice response from a mainstream label that said, if you will basically get the Christianity and the Jesus stuff out of your lyrics, we'll sign you. We said, thanks, no thanks. Every Christian label we talked to either never responded, or a number of them who had known us as a band out there doing concerts and touring for some years and saw the track record and actually said nice things about the songs, the music, the album, and so on, said that they were scared to death, in so many words, that they would get so much bad feedback, bad rap from the more conservative Christian community because we played honest to God in your face rock music.
Yes, you did.
Well, one little label, Star Song, stuck their neck out, and the rest is kind of history. Well, every label that we were on, I have to say, we had really good relationships with them right on through. But there came a point where we decided, instead of financing a bunch of folks at labels from the income from sales of Res Band albums, which we didn't see a lot of money from, some, but not much.
Right.
We made all the investment and went fully independent with our own label. We would take all the risk, but we would also take all of that money and put it right back into the community, into Jesus people and the many outreaches, as well as Gur Records, and be able to finance other Christian artists and other bands, some of whom probably wouldn't get the time of day. And to be honest, because the kinds of music, the styles of music represented in our own fellowship alone, this everything from blues to really intense hard rock to Celtic music before anybody seemed to know anything about Celtic Christian music, all the way to goth and very intense hardcore and metal. So, we were doing all of this stuff, plus the worship projects that I did and that we put together. We didn't. Can I be honest and say we never wrote to sell records? We wrote music and lyrics and stylistically that we thought would really relate to people in a genuine, honest way. And we wanted to do the very best we could in both sharing the gospel and worshiping God, but also in art, and not have to worry about somebody freaking out that some of their constituency or the Christian bookstores, or pastors over there or over there was going to blow smoke at them because of this weird music, this weird band, So from day one, and by the way, the reason we chose Gur, GRRR, and then, the fourth R would be Gur Records. You can see that at gurrecords.com, was because Amy Grant and others were on Myrrh.
Mm-hmm.
And we were with a subsidiary of Word for some time. So that's fine. But it was like, no, we want a label with teeth. We want a label where we can, one of the themes for a Res album and for a couple of Res band tours was hard rock for hard hearts. And for us, the issue was never style. It was the love of God and reaching out to people that spoke a particular musical stylistic language. And that's what I do today. When I go into prisons and jails, Jimmy, I almost never do quote unquote normal or contemporary white Christian worship. I sing old black spirituals and hymns that some of these brothers and occasionally sisters, their grandmas and great grandmas used to sing. And I write songs in that vernacular. And it's almost blues worship. I don't know how to explain it. Because, 70% of the people I see or more in every lockup are people of color. So, that's not going to quote unquote sell in the CCM marketplace. And to be honest with you, we never cared.
Right.
That's not why we exist. That's not why we do what we do.
And I want to thank Glenn Kaiser for taking the time out and talking with me this afternoon. In fact, you can find out more about Glenn Kaiser by going to gurrecords.com. That's GRRR.com. rrrecords.com. He has his albums there, and of course all of the other great bands that they have on Gurr Records. In fact, even more, he has his YouTube page. Be sure to check out his YouTube page and all the videos he's sharing, and along with his blog, which Glenn Kaiser has that through WordPress too. But Glenn Kaiser, very great opportunity, and I really enjoyed being able to chat with him this afternoon. So until next time, thank you for listening. You have been listening to One on One. I'm your host, Jimmy Olsen, and we have been, again, chatting with Glenn Kaiser from the Glenn Kaiser Band on One on One. Have a great day.